Alright, we have Chapter 4, Section 4, solving two-step inequalities. So we can solve two-step inequalities the same way we solve two-step equations. Alright, so we're still going to draw our line down our inequality. Okay. Remember our rules from Sections 2 and 3. Whenever I multiply or divide by a negative, remember my sign has to flip. Right? And in the end, we're still going to graph our solution. So, my variable is on the left. What else is on the left? Plus 2. I get rid of that by subtracting 2 on both sides. Those cancel. I bring down x over 4. I bring down my inequality. 1 minus 2 gets you negative 1. Okay, keep going. I'm dividing by 4, so I get rid of dividing by 4 by multiplying by 4. 4 cancel. Bring down my variable. Now I'm multiplying both by a positive, so my sign stays the same. 1 times negative 4, or 1 times 4 is negative 4. And then my graph, negative 4, negative 5, negative 3. I have an open circle, and what number is less than negative 4? That would be negative 5. So I'm going towards negative 5. Okay, on number 2, we're actually going to change this to negative 2x. So I'm going to add 3 on both sides. Those cancel. I have negative 2x is greater than or equal to 4. Now I'm multiplying by negative 2, so I'm going to divide both by negative 2. I cancel. I bring down my variable. Notice I divided by a negative. So I need to flip my inequality to make it true. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. And we have our line graph. Alright, so I have a closed circle because it's or equal to. So I put a closed circle on 2, or negative 2. Then what number is less than negative 2? That would be negative 3. So I'm going towards the negative 3. Or make it somewhat thick so it's easier to see. On the bottom we have the same type of problems, but we do have to distribute first. So I'm going to distribute this 2 to the b and to the negative 4. So 2 times b is 2b. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And I bring down the rest of the problem. Now I solve it just like we did up above. I'm going to add 8 on both sides. Bring down your 2b, bring down your inequality sign. Negative 6 plus 8 is a positive 2. Inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing. Do that on both sides. Cross my 2's out. B is greater than 1. Draw your number line. 1 goes in the middle, 0 and 2. I'm going to have an open circle because there's no line underneath here. And what number is greater than 1? Well, that would be 2. So I'm going towards the 2. Right. On the next one, I have a negative 8 on the outside. So I'm going to distribute that negative 8. So negative 8 times p is negative 8p. Negative 8 times a positive 3 is a negative 24. And you bring down the rest of the problem. Get rid of subtracting 24 by adding 24. If you notice, these are the same as our two-step equations last chapter. And the only thing different is our inequalities. So I get rid of multiplying by negative 8 by dividing by negative 8. This is why it's very important to carry that negative, because since I'm dividing by a negative, my inequality flips. 40 divided by negative 8 is negative 5. Last thing we're going to do is draw a number line. Once again, it's or equal to, so I put a closed circle. And what number is greater than negative 5? Negative 4. Go and flip it to the back. So this time we were setting up a inequality, but we got a word problem. So it says you are renting a movie truck for a day. There's a daily fee of $20, and a charge of 75 cents per mile. Your budget allows a maximum total cost of $65. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of miles you can drive the truck. So first thing, let's talk about my inequality. It says the maximum cost can be $65. So it can't go over. So I know it has to be less than $65. But can it be $65? Yes. So it's less than or equal to $65. Then I need to look at what do I know or what's not changing in this problem. Okay? And that is the daily fee. I know that there's a daily fee of $20. And that's a fee, so it's going to add to my amount. It's 75 cents per mile. I don't know how many miles I am driving. So what do you think I should put here? A variable. Okay. You can use any letter. Obviously, I'm just going to use X. So this is my inequality, but it says write and solve it. So now let's solve it. Subtract 20 on both sides. A number next to a variable means multiplying, so let's divide. Okay, now I cannot do this in my head, so let's go off to the side. 0.75 divided by 45. I got to move some decimals over. I'm going to fill in zeros, so I'm going to rewrite it. So I have 75 into 4,500. Okay, so pretty big numbers, so let's just kind of estimate. So if this was 70 and this was 4,000, it goes in about 5 to 6 times. All right, so let's try 5 first. Let's see where that puts us. Okay, now I would add a 0 there. Let's try a 6. And once again, I would add another 0 there, so it goes in 6 times. 6 goes into 475 goes into 450 6 times. I bring down a 0. Remember, 75 goes into 0 times, so my answer is 60. So write and solve an inequality represents the number of miles you can drive the truck. So you want to write a sentence. I can drive the truck a maximum of 60 miles. All right, so once again, we set up our inequality and then solve just like normal. Remember, we do have to remember when we're dealing with rational numbers like this, we have to remember how to divide with decimals. Make sure we move it over, and then we just work it out. Please be comfortable kind of working off to the side. You're not going to know how to do all these in your head. On the bottom, we got 5 practice problems. And make sure you are showing your work. I would look at the front side of this paper for examples on these. Make sure you try every problem to receive your full credit.